Hey everyone, Reuben Foster, the now former San Francisco 49ers linebacker, was cleared to play by the National Football League. It was announced very quietly on Friday while all this other stuff was going on. The NFL released this statement. Today, the NFL notified Reuben Foster, the Washington Redskins, that he will be fined 2-game checks following a review of recent incidents and an assessment of his adherence to obligations arising from previous violations of league policies. Following a thorough investigation, the evidence did not support a finding that Foster violated the NFL's personal conduct policy. And in connection with the Tampa incident in November of 2018, the National Football League has returned Foster to the active roster from the commissioner's exempt list. He may fully participate in all team activities. Foster has acknowledged that he is responsible for his actions, and he is committed to a comprehensive accountability plan developed by the league, the NFLPA, and the Washington Redskins to help him grow personally and avoid future misconduct. Foster was advised that any future incidents will likely result in more substantial discipline. In other words, to put it colloquially, dude, stay away from nutty women. Or, in this case, one nutty woman that he went back to again and again, or seemed to allow into his life. But in this, we have to now give Reuben Foster the presumption of innocence, and I say that for this reason. Too often, in matters like this, there's a public assumption that Reuben Foster did something wrong. In this instance, no media person ever associated the idea that Reuben was being stalked or pursued or the victim of domestic violence because he's a man, he's black, and he's a football player versus a woman, period. And so Reuben had to basically sustain his name being dragged in the mud, not once, not twice, but 3 times in the period of a year, 2 years almost. And that's ridiculous. The point is, the real group that should be learning something about all this is us, me and you in society. You know, we have to stop making assumptions every time a woman points a finger at an NFL player. I'm saying it just like that. And I understand this is in the middle of Me Too, but the problem is that some women have used this situation as a door to which they've opened and walked through for the purpose of telling untruths about people who men they had contact with, or their mates, or both. And Reuben Foster certainly falls into that category. The bottom line is they're dishonest people, no matter how you slice it. And you can't weaken an aspect of society because of a perception that society is unfair. And that's what's happened thanks to social media. I have seen any number of cases where women go to extraordinary lengths to meet NFL players, and as someone, Jay Will said, that's the same thing that's happening to Sean Oakman. Sean Oakman is the defensive end from Baylor. And that something also happened. The reason why I'm saying this the other reason I'm saying this so vociferously, is that a situation like that happened to my late cousin, Fred Lane Jr., who played running back for the Indianapolis Colts and the Carolina Panthers. His wife, Deidre Lane, shot him, claimed it was domestic violence. It wasn't. It turned out that she was trying to take his money. And then a few years later, was arrested in a scheme to rob a bank, an unsuccessful one. So she's well out of jail now, has been, I think, since 2009, and has started a new life. But Fred's dead. Fred's dead. And Fred's family warned him about, quote, that girl, unquote. But he went on his own path and suffered the consequences for the rest of his life. He doesn't have a life on earth anymore. So that's the extreme of what can happen if you don't listen to folks who love you about what kind of women you should have in your life, okay? Or for that matter, men with respect to women or anybody else. I can't speak, listen to people, okay? Now, in Reuben Foster's case, and I say that this reason, the other reason, is there's a tendency for people to make fake social media accounts and then say whatever they feel is necessary to say to make themselves feel better about themselves, or be mischievous, or both, about a public figure, and like Reuben Foster. And so what happens is that that person may have 2, 3, 10 Twitter accounts, for example, and put out this bad information through these accounts and cause others to think that the target of those accounts is a bad person, and that what's written about them is true. I mean, take accounts like this one I reported called Barry McCockiner, right? Barry McCockiner actually has a number of different Twitter accounts under this face, white guy with glasses and kind of clean shaven, you're right, no mustache, other than that clean shaven. But Barry McCockiner and his original guys would write racist tweets. And I caught one, and what he had is he had every black quarterback, and then basically was saying that all these quarterbacks are among the worst ever in the National Football League, just naming them, okay? But it was obvious that he was issuing a racist tweet. I called him on it, I reported the tweet to Twitter, and guess what? They notified me that Barry McCockiner was in violation of the Twitter rules. Score. So, can't do that anymore. So, it's Barry McCockiner or accounts like his that have attacked Reuben Foster unfairly and unmercifully, okay? That's got to stop. That has to stop. If you have a Twitter account, my recommendation is that you set it so that you do not get a notification every time someone tags you, and that people can't tag you unless they follow you. That way, your day isn't impacted by someone's negative commentary that they're trying to direct to you. A number of people will start Twitter accounts, and that account may have no followers. And so basically they tag your account to put out their social media message. If you let them do that, you lose. You have 5,000 followers, 50 followers, 5 followers. But if you have something like over 100,000 followers and they're tagging you, those people that have those bots are using your Twitter account to broadcast their message, and you're letting them do it. So check your Twitter settings. You know, you don't need to have social interaction to the point where you got to let everybody tag your account and say whatever they want to about you. That's not the way it's done. And someone might say, well, that's free speech. Look, Twitter is a private organization. The platform is private. It is not owned by the government. Your tax dollars do not go to run it. Okay? So you don't owe them, you don't owe Twitter that the benefit of that thinking that it's a public forum. It is in terms of size, but it is privately owned. And so because of that, you can choose to go someplace else. Something else can be created that supplants it. We're not talking about the US Postal Service, right? Same is true for Facebook. Same is true for a number of social media accounts, Pinterest, LinkedIn, which I've never had a problem on, and so on, okay? So that's how you protect yourself. But on the other hand, I certainly hope everything is going right in your life where you don't feel like you have to do that to somebody. And um, like a Reuben Foster. Now, let's talk about Reuben Foster, the Washington Redskins player. The Redskins, think about it, he's not suspended. Okay, so he loses, what, a couple of game checks, but he gets to play the entire season. So overnight, the Washington Redskins defense is improved by that much. By that much. So they can look at maybe, let's see where they are with the NFL draft in terms of Washington Redskins. Washington Redskins draft picks here. Redskins. How are you guys doing, by the way? Bad picks. Redskins draft picks. Redskins draft picks. Let's see here. They have 4 compensatory picks in the 2019 NFL draft. Okay. They just got 4 compensatory picks. So, and that happened February 22nd of this year. The Redskins have, oh wow, 5, 6, 7, 8. They have 9 picks in the NFL draft total, one more than the Raiders. They have pick 15 in round 1, pick 46 in round 2, pick 76 in round 3, another pick in round 3, pick 96. They have 2 picks in round 5, pick 153 and 173. Round 6, pick 206, round 7, 2 in round 7. Pick 222 and 253. Okay, so I could see the Redskins perhaps parlaying their 3rd round picks in a player to move up into the 2nd round and getting a player. I can definitely see them doing that. Because you want to really get, it would be cool for the Redskins to get a linebacker in the 2nd round that can pair with Reuben Foster and make their defense that much faster and better, right? So that's, let's see, and so that's the way their draft lays out. But I should also add, in terms of what I mentioned to you, okay, was those 4 compensatory picks gave the Redskins their 9 picks in the NFL draft. So the Redskins are in a great position to really build their team on top of what they've done in free agency. But having Reuben Foster return is a big deal. They're really staring at a situation where he could have been suspended for a season. Not that the suspension would have been just. It would have been very unjust. So, because if you don't know the story, Reuben Foster had a tumultuous relationship with a woman that he at one point lived with, who admittedly tried to extort his money from him, and then set up a scheme to basically come to Tampa and make it look like he harmed her, and then cut herself and reported that he did it, but it was found that he did not. She went through great lengths to hurt him, presumably because he didn't want to be in a crazy relationship with her. She brought the crazy. But she wanted to have that. Some people are like that. They only want to have drama in their relationships with you. You know, they're not happy when it's calm waters. Why that is, I don't know. But there are relationships that are, defined that way. Jay Will says, I got a strong feeling when the next CBA comes up, there's going to be a strike. There are people who believe that's not going to happen because the negotiations have already started. I think the negotiations have already started because, look, that's what you do. You have a lot to talk about. You don't wait until the last minute. You do it right now. Because just because, I'm glad you mentioned that, just because the players and the league representatives and team representatives are talking, doesn't mean that those talks are necessarily going to lead to a peaceful resolution. We'll see what happens. Okay, I'm hopeful that they come out of this without a strike, but let's see what happens. I would have to say that the Raiders, the Oakland Raiders, are, I know, especially hopeful that their goose doesn't get cooked because of this. But there's that gambling money that's got to be dealt with. If these talks go without a single consideration for gambling revenues, the players lose out. That's got to be dealt with. So the Redskins picked up former AAF linebacker DeMarcus Gates. He's 23 and he played for Ole Miss. So the Redskins have come into the draft with a defense that already looks good, but they can make it look a lot better. I mean, they could take their picks. If I were the Redskins, I'm not going to wait for Montez Sweat to come down to me. I'm going to go up and get him because by pick 15, you might see a lot of the best defenders go down. Now, there is a possibility that a person like, I don't see Montez Sweat falling that far, but the Redskins could also come away with a top flight offensive tackle as well. But I tend to think that if you got pick 15, you're looking at a defensive end or corner at pick 15. But I would think that if you have 2 picks in the 3rd round, which is a pretty good position to be in, you could parlay those to get back in the 2nd round, or take picks 2 and the 2 3s and try to move back into the 1st round, right, to get another pick. You have some flexibility with those 2 picks. It doesn't mean that you can bump way up into the first high areas of the 1st round. Well, unless you add a player, okay. But when you have 9 picks, you have a lot of deal flexibility there. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Hey folks, it is 3:23. I wanted to get this Ruben Foster announcement out of the way, but I'll be back on Saturday to discuss the Warriors playoff game and more NFL. By the way, Zenny62 Media is credentialed for the 3rd, excuse me, I say the 3rd, the, not 5th, not 10th, but the 14th straight year at the NFL draft. How about that? All right. See you, everybody. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. Thank you.